How's it going, everybody? Chris here again. Since you all seem to enjoy the Kong vs. Godzilla Playmates review, I figured I'd do another one. In fact, I kind of actually had fun doing that, and I'm thinking that this might become a regular segment here on the YouTube channel for the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. So, if you guys do enjoy this, please let me know. I have a whole myriad of ideas that I want to do, and in going deeper than just toys, just in collectibles in general. So. On that note, let's start. We are doing the last two NECA Godzilla figures. They have just started hitting the shelves at Target. I managed to come across a couple at my local Target the other day after vigorous searching. And we're going to break these two bad boys down. So we're going to start with the 89 figure. This is actually one I am the most impressed with because Biolante's a favorite film, but the suit is actually one of my favorites. It kind of defines the Heisei for me more than the late mid-90s suits, which NECA has put out, the 94 one, which everyone kind of puts there with the look of the 90s. So here's the packaging, back and forth. Here's the bottom. We got some cool shots of the figure in action with the Noriyoshi art, which, if you were like me growing up in the 90s, seeing these posters was the herald of a new movie. And while they never truly lived up to as awesome as Noriyoshi painted them, they're still spectacular. I mean, this style of illustration is pretty much lost to the ages now. No one's really doing it anymore. Even the great Drew Struzan has retired from doing this stuff. So let's open this up and take a look at the inside. So, there we go on the inner page, the inner flap, I mean. So we got the figure with the cool Biollante spores coming down and little effects. Here's the actual figure inside. As you see, he's strapped in. There's the fire breath to the side. And then a cool little element that I did like was adding the flowers that were cut out of the final film. These are actually this is a very famous deleted scene that's online that Kawakita was famous. I believe he said that he was sad they got cut out of the final film, where after Godzilla's first fight with Biollante, when Biollante goes up into the air as the space spores, she leaves behind just this field of these very vibrant flowers as Godzilla's just kind of looking on. So seeing that was actually a very nice deep cuts touch that I'm pretty sure is going to go over a lot of people's heads, but kudos for NECA for putting that in. So last time a lot of you were saying, Chris, you didn't open your Kong and Godzillas. I'm like, well, that's true, because I didn't know what I was going to do with those yet. Not necessarily, I didn't know if I was going to keep them or if I was going to give them to somebody, maybe sell them off later. So I didn't want to open them. NECA, on the other hand, I keep all my figures. And that brings me to the fact that I have actually already opened one. Bam! So, let's take a look at this bad one. Let me get this guy out of the way. So here we go. Let's get him in there, full shot. He's a beautiful figure. This is actually one of NECA's finest sculpts I've ever seen them do. From head to toe. He's absolutely stunning. Much like a lot of their work, once you open them up out of the package, the packaging itself would wake up all of New York City trying to get this thing out of it. Just how crunkly and loud it is. But once you get it out, it is worth it. This is a solid figure. I mean, he weighs about maybe a good pound. Like, holding this thing, it's heavy. And they pretty much spared no expense with him. The sculpting is amazing. Absolutely love it. So let's get the side right there. The detailing on the paint. All the way down to the tail. And here's the thing NECA has been doing grand lately. They've been adjusting the tail schematics of how it moves. This thing's in like 4 pieces. So compared to the first Godzilla, which I'll bring up in a minute, that they produced, they've come a hell of a long way. And then the nice thing about this one, unlike the other reissues, they've already added the breath effects. Shazam. There you go. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that in there. This is just one solid long piece. It's pretty cool. Much like any of the Japanese Fig Arts figures that you get with the effects pieces. So I got to give it up to them. This thing is quite amazing. As you can see the neck joints. Now they don't. The difference between NECA and the SH Arts figures is that the joints don't get hid as well. But I don't mind that. This is an action figure. This is, and for me growing up, this is what I wanted as a kid. I got the Tremasters, but as cool as they weren't screen accurate like this. I would have murdered for something like this as a child. So, I mean, I got the Bandais as a kid, but those are just solid vinyl figures. They're not an action figure. You can't really pose them. Well, you can bash them into each other. It's cool, but you don't get that action figure vibe. So there's the movement in the chest, the arm, the hand, and it's all solid. I have had zero issues with these Godzilla figures in general. I've had issues with NECA in the past, and from my research, it depends where NECA is pretty much manufacturing their figures. The Pacific Rim figures gave me a lot of grief, especially Coyote Tango and which one was it? It was Striker Eureka. Those two broke out of the package on me, and I mean I glued them back together, but it is what it is. These Godzillas though never had an issue. So let's move on to 2003. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, or no, it's a King Ghidorah. That was the previous movie. Godzilla, Mothra, Mecha Godzilla, Tokyo SOS, or just Godzilla Tokyo SOS for short, as it says right there. Actually, one of the absolute coolest names in the entire line. Famously, I have gone on about how much I dislike the first film in this series. I don't care for it. The Kiro design is cool, but it's just a boring film. This one, on the other hand, is one of my top 10. It's fun. It's absolutely a blast. I love the film. Let's look at the figure. Since there was no real... I mean, this is the poster, but there was no illustrating artwork for these films back then. Let's take a look at it. So there's the secondary poster that was released for the film. And then once again, breaking down the figure. You see that. So let's open up the flap, see in the window. A little more standard on the artwork. It's just a lovely shot of the figurine itself. And there he is inside. This was a little more basic in the packaging artwork, unlike the Biollante one, which I'm not complaining about, because I'll show you why. So, like the other one, bam, already got this guy open. So, let's review the figure. So, much like the 90 or the 89 figure, this is an absolute work of art. I don't have any of the SH figures. I've seen them up close. They're cool, but not enough for me to spend $90 to $100 on. This right here, I do feel this is the absolute pinnacle of NECA's sculpting work. This is absolutely, these two figures, this one especially, are their finest work they've done on this entire line. I got to give them up. This one's a little more interesting than the last one, considering the weird look that the Mecha Godzilla movies had, which were essentially what I just called a more streamlined version of the 2000 and Megaguirus design. So he's got the frill right here, and on the figure, to hide the joints, the frill up to the neck right here is one big plastic piece. I think that's just because they couldn't quite mold this lining into the figure. So to cover it up, it's pretty much like a jacket that's over this section right here. You still get full mobility of the arms, and it actually does hide a lot of the neck joints. This is actually quite seamless. It doesn't give you a lot of the joint disparities that you saw on the 89 figure. So, and much like all the other ones, it's pretty good, stiff, arm, legs. Let's get the back. The sculpting on the spines, the actual art, the painting is just spectacular. The detail is impeccable. And of course, he's got the battle damage from the first film, so he's got the scar that Kiro left him from the Maser Blast. Just look at that. Look at the detailing. I seriously got to give it up to NECA. I mean, the fact that we live in an age where you have a full functioning Godzilla figure. It's an action figure, and it's under $25. I mean, Target, these are like $23.99. If you got a Target card, you get that sweet 5% discount. So, let's compare the two. Pull them up here. So, here are these two, as they are, as you get them. And let me do a quick comparison to the original figure. Let me put in the 2014 figure that NECA originally released. So, this guy was what sold me on NECA doing these Godzilla figures, because this one I was absolutely impressed by when I opened it. Yeah, the painting on it is a little, it's dated. They have learned a lot in that time in comparison. As you can see, the scale's a little bit bigger. Not only that, but, the American Godzilla's got that kind of grizzly stance. So as you can tell here, the comparison. So there you go. I've owned pretty much the entire line. I didn't pick up the Kong figure or the 64 figure, mostly because I'm running out of room, and much like every collector, you got to pick and choose. But when I saw these debut at Toy Fair, I'm like, yeah, I gotta get these. These are fantastic. I love this design. I love this design to death, and the fact that they just looked primo, like absolutely perfect in terms of sculpt. And not only that, but these, I would definitely argue, rival the Bandai SH Fig Arts figures in terms of quality. I know a lot of people are very adamant about their Fig Arts, and there's also frustration in the fact that they keep producing the same kind of crap over and over again. But budget-wise, I would go with these. I would go with this one, this 2003 one, or I think they did the 2002 one, over the Fig Arts. Just in terms of quality. Same thing with the Biollante version. And then that's it. That's all she wrote with the NECA line, which if this is their legacy, they went out on top. Does it make me a little bummed that they never got to do any of the other monsters and stuff? Yeah. Does it make me bummed that I'll never get a Final Wars or proper 2000? Sure. But beggars can't be choosers. I am very happy with what I have in my collection. Here, I'll show you what I kept. So these are all my NECA figures left. I also kept the 2001 figure and that guy. So there you go. Great legacy from beginning to end. I know that the repaints, the effects paints, I call them, they're just essentially repaints, should be hitting shelves pretty soon, knowing the fact that NECA's license is up in about 2 weeks. So you guys should be seeing those pretty soon. And I would definitely recommend them. If you can find them at your Target, grab them while you can, because in about a year and a half, these guys are going to be chased after and probably going to be pretty pricey, like a lot of NECA figures that got canceled. Their lines got canceled, or their license expired. So grab them while you can. These are solid action figures. Absolutely solid. So if you guys like this review, and I know it's a little crude, I'm going to attempt to do some much more professional looking stuff pretty soon. I'm getting some things ready because I kind of like doing this. This is fun, and I got a lot of like old stuff and new stuff that I would love to share with you guys. So let me know if you've enjoyed this and want to see more. And as always, listen to my podcast that I co-host with Jessica Sang. the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. We are on panzercrush.com. You can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, or whatever, Google, whatever Apple's calling their podcast thing now, and Google Podcast, and of course Spotify. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.